For over 20 years, the Caterpillar 320 was the default excavator on every European job site. From Hamburg quarries to Manchester motorways, the Cat 320 was the standard 20-ton digger. Cat dealers covered every German state and every English county. Komatsu tried to break in. Hitachi tried. Neither moved the needle. But across Europe today, the Cat 320 has almost vanished from working sites. In its place stand Liebherr R936 crawlers, Volvo EC480Es, and JCB JS220 LCs. This is the story of how Europeans walked away from American iron and what that means for American operators now. If this kind of teardown is what you are here for, hit subscribe so the next one reaches you. Through the 1990s and the 2000s, the Cat 320 was a kind of default setting in European construction. A French civil engineering firm ordering excavators for a roadworks project, a German aggregate quarry replenishing its fleet, a British groundworks contractor renewing leases, all of them ended up with Cat 320 machines. The reason was infrastructure, not just the machine. Caterpillar had spent decades building out a European dealer footprint that competitors could not match. Zeppelin in Germany, Bergerac Monoyer in France, Finning in the United Kingdom. These were not faceless distributors. They had service techs in regional depots and parts vans on motorways and credit terms tailored to small civil firms. If a 320 went down on a Friday afternoon outside Stuttgart, a Zeppelin technician was usually on site by Monday morning. And if a part was missing, Zeppelin parts vans ran out of regional depots across Bavaria and the Ruhr. That kind of network was the real product. The 320 itself was reliable, parts were everywhere, residual values held up at auction in Leeds and in Paris. For a small contractor running 3 or 4 diggers, a Cat made commercial sense. That logic held for 2 decades. Then it started to break. The pressure on Cat in Europe started in the German-speaking market, and it had a name. Liebherr. Hans Liebherr started the firm in 1949 building tower cranes, and the family moved into crawler excavators in the 1970s. By the time the R936 crawler excavator launched in the early 2010s, built at Liebherr's Colmar plant in eastern France, the firm had been refining hydraulic systems for European job conditions for 40 years. On paper, the R936 looked like a 320 with a different control layout. On a job site, it felt different in 3 specific ways. The hydraulic flow was tuned for fine swing control, which mattered to operators digging next to gas mains and fiber lines. The cab was wider and quieter, which mattered to a fitter who sat in it for 10 hours a day. The service intervals were longer, which mattered to the contractor signing the check. None of these were headline features. Together, they pulled customers off the Cat order pad. Liebherr also had a structural advantage Cat could not match. The Liebherr Group is owned by the Liebherr family through their Swiss holding company in Bulla. There is no quarterly earnings call demanding margin expansion. Profit gets reinvested into the next generation of hydraulic systems and into the Colmar plant itself. Caterpillar engineers in Illinois were doing perfectly competent work. They were just doing it for institutional shareholders, not for a contractor in Cologne. Over 20 years, that difference compounded into market share. While Liebherr was eating into the German market, Volvo Construction Equipment, headquartered in Eskilstuna, Sweden, was doing the same thing in the Nordic countries. The EC480E, the 50-ton crawler in Volvo CE's lineup, became a default choice across Norwegian quarries and Finnish gravel pits. Volvo gave operators the choice of multiple joystick patterns inside the same cab, which sounds minor until you have spent 20 years building muscle memory on one layout and your contractor wants to retrain you on another. Cat's joystick was Cat's joystick. Volvo gave operators options. A Nordic mechanic with 25 years on diggers and loaders has commented publicly that he honestly cannot remember the last time he saw a Cat working in his region. That comment carried weight in the trade. In Britain and Ireland, the displacement came from JCB. The JS220 LC, built in Rochester, Staffordshire, became the standard 22-ton crawler on British civil sites. JCB is owned by the Bamford family, with Lord Anthony Bamford as chairman. According to JCB's own published figures, 1 in every 2 backhoe loaders sold worldwide is a JCB. The same Bamford ownership that funded the backhoe dominance also funded JCB's crawler excavator engineering without quarterly margin pressure. Family money buys patience. By the late 2010s, an Irish operator could spend a full season on civil works and only see JCBs in the dirt. CAT had become the brand its competitors had once been, an option, not the option. Even with Liebherr, Volvo, and JCB pressing on the product side, CAT could have hold the line if the European dealer network had stayed strong. It did not. Through the 2010s, CAT's European dealer model started consolidating. Smaller regional dealers in France, Spain, and Germany got merged into larger entities or absorbed into CAT-owned subsidiaries. The pattern was familiar to anyone who had watched American industrial firms restructure in the same decade. Direct service technicians got replaced by centralized service centers and dispatch hubs. The phone calls a contractor used to make to a named mechanic at a local dealer started routing through call centers. Industry veterans in the Quisup comment threads have called this out repeatedly. One commenter, an engineer who watched the same playbook hollow out General Electric's medical imaging business against Siemens, laid out the sequence in detail. Consultants come in to optimize cost. Local relationships get classified as inefficient. Service gets centralized. Response times stretch. Customers start asking what the premium pays for. By the time anyone notices the damage, Liebherr or Siemens has spent 10 years building deeper local presence. Some CAT dealers in Europe are still excellent. Pawn equipment in the Netherlands and Norway is one example. The average European contractor making a fleet decision in the late 2010s noticed that the CAT support advantage was no longer obvious, and once that edge was gone, the order books started shifting toward Liebherr and Volvo and JCB. There was one more friction point that pushed European operators away from CAT, and it has nothing to do with hydraulics or horsepower. Repair access. Modern Caterpillar machines run on proprietary diagnostic software. To pull a fault code, recalibrate a sensor, or update a control module on a current 320, an independent shop in rural Bavaria typically needs CAT's authorized service tools. That gates a significant portion of repair work to CAT dealers. For a contractor running an aging 320 fleet who used to handle his own repairs, that lockout is a quantifiable cost. Liebherr's approach has historically been less restrictive. Hydraulic schematics are more accessible to independent fitters, and fault codes are easier to pull on older machines. American farmers running John Deere combines have been fighting the exact same battle in court for the last several years. Quisup's own comment threads have flagged this John Deere parallel in some of the most liked replies on the channel. The European operator who switched off CAT in 2015 was the early version of the Iowa farmer fighting Deere in 2024. Same business model, same friction, different machine. The European market figured out the cost first and voted with its order pads. CAT has not disappeared from Europe entirely. There are still pockets of strong CAT presence. Large surface mining operations in northern Sweden and Finland still run CAT hydraulic shovels and CAT haul trucks because the ultra-class category has fewer credible alternatives than the construction class. Mid-size rental fleets across France and Spain still carry CAT backhoes and skid steers because the residual values at auction stay relatively firm. Peen equipment in the Netherlands keeps Dutch contractors loyal through genuinely strong service. None of that changes the headline picture. On a working construction site outside Hamburg or Manchester or Lyon today, the typical 20-ton crawler excavator is not a CAT 320. It is a Liebherr R936, a Volvo EC480E, or a JCB JS220 LC. That shift took 20 years, one fleet decision at a time. The reason American operators should care is that the European story is the leading indicator. The dealer consolidation pattern, the proprietary diagnostic lockout, the centralized service model, all of it is now visible in North America. The European customers walked away first. The American market may not get 20 more years to make the same call, patterns picking up speed the second time around. If the John Deere right to repair fight is the next breakdown you want, subscribe and it reaches you when it drops. The same CAT playbook is now hitting American farmers, and the same questions are being asked in Iowa courtrooms today that European operators were asking in 2015.